I mean, but that's like the skill level of every spear player. You don't have to have any IQ to play spear. I told you. I told you. Spear is literally absolute like zero IQ. Like you literally just don't even need any brain to play spear.
Okay, so I'm gonna put my big statement out there right now. I don't think anything is OP in corrupted dungeons right now. Now, do I think there are some things that are perhaps a little unskilled? Yes, I definitely think there are some builds in here that just don't require a whole lot of brain power to use, but that's not the same thing as being overpowered. Now, I know I'm triggering a lot of people when I say this, so let me just begin by saying that everything I say in this video is my opinion, and only my opinion, and you don't have to agree with me. I mean, it's obvious that some people don't agree with me. Some people think everything's OP, everything except for Frost. If somebody held a gun to my head and said, okay, Pew, you have to tell me something, you have to give me at least one weapon that's OP in corrupted dungeons right now, then I would say, okay, maybe Daybreakers, maybe Broadswords. But really, like in my book, what's overpowered, like the definition of overpowered, is if something has no counterplay and you either have to play it or lose, then it's overpowered. And right now, we really just don't have anything like that. Like you can outplay Daybreakers, you can outplay Broadswords. In the past, we've definitely seen some OP weapons being used in corrupted dungeons, like the old um, Hallowfall, when you know I remember I was playing Bloodletter, and the only thing I can do when I see a Hallowfall is go break crystals. And even then, like, it's 50-50. If I try to break crystals, sometimes I can't even get away from them because their E is just so short cooldown, they'll catch up to me. Right? That's in the old times, though. In today's meta, like, I still hear a lot of my viewers complaining about healers being OP, but really, like, healers are trash right now. I think like the people that are really dying to healers right now are either like new players or players that just like don't understand their build, or players that just don't want to play a weapon that works. And if you are one of those experienced players that just don't want to play a weapon that works, well, I'm not trying to shit talk you, okay? I completely get that you don't want to play a weapon that everybody else is using, but at the same time, it's like you can't really complain about everybody else being OP when you're using a weapon that just isn't designed for corrupted dungeons. Now, while I don't think anything is overpowered in corrupted dungeons, I do think there are a lot of things that are like just completely useless in corrupted dungeons. There are a lot of things that are, maybe you can make it work, but it's sort of just not good for corrupted dungeons. Like, for example, crossbow or curse or fire staff. Like these are weapons that I think are just not good for corrupted dungeons. But like, can you play them and get like say top 100 on the ladder board? Of course you can, right? Then that's just because the way corrupted dungeons are is like you get matched with some Pepeka players sometimes, and you can play something that are like really just not good, but you can just outplay the player because they're not good. Now, if you are one of those guys who just want to play a different weapon, like, for example, if you are a curse player and like you just like if you play curse for a while, you know what's wrong with your build, right? Like you know why there are no curse players on the top of the leaderboard, right? So if you are a curse player or one of those weapons that quote unquote don't work, just don't be that guy that's like, I want to play curse, please nerf spears so I can play curse, right? Because that's not really fair. Like, if you are playing one of these like underdog weapons, instead of like telling SVI to nerf spears or like nerf whatever you think is OP, just ask them for buffs, man. Like if curses are not competing right now, just ask them to take away some damage from the curse, but give it some utility so that it can compete with other weapons like spears or swords, right? right? Because the reason why people are complaining about spears right now, like spears have not been buffed since the beginning of corrupted dungeons. Like one of the earliest patches after corrupted dungeons, they released a rework to spears. Like they reworked the spear hunter E, right? They turned it into a weaker version of the same skill, and they put it onto the W slot and gave the spear hunter a new E, and then they added 1 meter to the Q range of spears, like spear Q1s, and like for the most part, that's it, right? It's just a spear hunter E change and Q range change, and that's been the same since like month and month ago, like since the early days of corrupted dungeons. And nobody has complained about like spears being OP until just now, until this patch, right? So what happened? Like they didn't buff spears. All they did was nerf everything else. And I think this is a really bad trend because like if you keep nerfing this and nerfing that, eventually everything's just gonna feel like shit to play, right? Like I think good weapon design is like everything is strong. Like everything is strong but conditionally strong, right? I don't think anything should just like be so powerful that nothing can outplay them, right? I think, let's say, broadswords right now are kind of like in that area of like they just walk forward and then they do tons of damage to you, right? And even if they don't stack their E's, they can just spam that E on cooldown when they have like 1 Q charge or 2 Q charge, and they will still out damage the majority of weapons out there. Now, like I said earlier, I don't think broadswords are truly like OP because they are a one-directional weapon, right? You go in with them and you don't go out, right? They're not like the old plate bloodletter, for example, or you can go in whenever you want, you can leave whenever you want, and if you screw up, well, there's no way for people to really punish you. Like in today's meta, even with the royal boots, if you actually especially with the royal boots, if you screw up on the engage and you take some more damage than you're supposed to, you're basically dead if you play broadsword, right? And the reason why I'm talking about broadswords so much like this is because like I don't really want to see broadswords being just straight up nerfed. I don't want to see like a number nerf, you know? Like if they're gonna change it, do a rework, right? Make the E a bit more complex than just spam it on cooldown. Like in comparison to the broadsword, the other like kind of borderline OP weapon that I talked about in the beginning, the Daybreaker, the Daybreaker E is much better in design, right? Like you can't just spend a Daybreaker E on cooldown, right? You have to use it to purge something important and to do damage, right? And you have to land it. Like the Daybreaker E is one of the easiest skill shots to dodge in the game because it's got a slow ass animation, right? It's the same animation speed as pre-buff Bear Paws, and it's got a precast time, right? Like before you start charging, there's a wind up to it, just like the Claymore. So it's a really telegraphed skill, and anybody with a dash can dodge it. Anybody with a iframe can iframe it. If you're playing a sword, you can parry strike it, right? There's tons of outplay to it, and if you do get it outplayed, like if you do lose value on that Daybreaker E, it's on cooldown for a whole 25 seconds. It's not like broadswords where you just, you mess it up, okay, you zero stack it, it's up in 10 seconds again, right? And, this is why at the beginning of the video, I was making that sad face when Humperdinck was criticizing my weapon, right? Because Daybreaker is really not a straightforward weapon, right? Every single one of my skills is a skill shot. Like, you can miss with any of them, right? With Qs, with the Q1, right? It's a quick skill shot, but it's a skill shot. And Impaler, right, and Daybreaker E, obviously, and Harpoon. Like, these are all skill shots, and you can juke them, you can dodge them. It happens all the time. Like, this is a powerful weapon, yes, but it's not a weapon that you can't outplay. And if you don't know how to use this weapon, let's say, for example, you just don't know how to land your E, or you just don't know when is the best time to use your E, then you lose a whole lot of value if you get your E dodged, or if you just like spam your E for damage and you didn't purge anything with it, or you didn't use it for the CC resist, right? Then you lose a lot of value. And really, like, I want to see more weapon design like this. I want to see more weapons like the Daybreaker that have powerful skills that can be outplayed somehow. And I can give you some more examples of this. Like a couple days ago, we saw a Trinity Spear. I think it was like a 6-1 or 6-2 Trinity Spear, killing one on his 8-3 Frost build, right? And a lot of people are like, Trinity Spear is OP, but like really, Trinity Spear's E is very conditional, right? Like it's a very slow animation. You can dodge it very easily on the Frost, and like if you just walk away from the circle, they don't do nearly as much damage to you. If you just purge their Qs, they don't do nearly as much damage to you. But at the same time, if you misjudge their damage, if you just misplay against them, they're very punishing, right? Because they have a lot of damage, and if you mess up, they'll kill you in the blink of an eye. Okay, now that spears and broadswords are out of the way, let's talk about healers and kiting builds and why they are not OP, right? So when I say kiting builds, by the way, I'm not just talking about warbows, like warbows included, warbows, baton bows, but also maces, tomb hammers, quarterstaffs, Avalonian quarterstaffs. Like anything that wants to like do a short trade with you and then run away from you. Healers, like the reason why healers kind of made a comeback in Corrupted Dungeons, like they were OP at one point, but then they got hard nerfed and people really stopped playing them, right? Like there weren't a whole lot of healers in the top of the top leaderboard for a while, but then like they started making a comeback because people started playing things like quarterstaffs, tomb hammers, all these builds that want to stun you, do a bunch of damage to you, and then just run away for cooldowns, right? So against builds like that, like healers have obviously got like a big advantage on them because if they chunk you, like they can take away half of your HP bar, you can just heal up, right? And then like when their cooldown comes back, well, your HP will be full by then, right? So like all of their bursts and kiting just doesn't mean anything to you, and they can try to outplay you on mobs or traps. They can try to like throw you into a fire trap. Like if you're playing against a Blightstaff, you just hit cleanse and you're out of the fire trap. If you're playing a Hallowfall, you can just iframe, like you can just leap out of there, and then heal up, right? So that's the biggest reason why healers are making or not are making, but they made a comeback, in my opinion, right? But in the current meta, though, with the Royal Boots buff, healers are not really a threat to any of these like high mobility, high damage builds, like spears and swords and regular bows, right? Like any of those builds can stick to a healer, and as long as they have lifesteal food, like healers can even do damage with them, right? Like I'm sure you've all seen clips of people like playing a one-hand spear and just running down a healer because their auto attacks are out healing all of the healer's damage. So what Royal Boots really did to Corrupted Dungeons is allow the people that are like winning their first engages to just win harder, right? Because it lets you chase really well with it. If you're losing the first engage, it's very hard for you to run away with Royal Boots because people can just purge it or interrupt it or do something to it. Now, there are some builds that I guess like they work well with Royal Boots because they have abilities that prevents people from interrupting you. Like for example, the mace player that you're seeing right now, like I'm taking a while on killing this guy because like every time he tries to run away with his boots, first he will hit me with a stun or a knockback, or he like goes into stealth and jukes me so he like gets out of my purge range before he starts channeling or something like that, right? So if you're playing like say a one-hand mace, like you can definitely run away with these boots too, but it's just harder to do. If you're playing something like a broadsword and you mess up the first engage, you are done. Like you're not going anywhere with royal boots, because if you start channeling, they just interrupt it or purge it, and you're dead. And then with the introduction of the bats that slow you, the corrupted methods, it's just even harder now to play as a kite build, because the bats will eventually kill you if all you're doing is just losing and running away. So at the end of the day, what we're seeing in corrupted dungeons is just healers are killing the kiting builds like quarterstaffs and warbows and etc. And they're dying to things that are high damage and can chase, like regular bows and spears and swords and etc. Now, playing a sword or a spear into a kite build is honestly like 50-50, I would say. Like, you can definitely kill a mace or a tomb hammer with a spear or a sword, but it's not as free as like playing a healer into a kite build, for example. Right, so after all this explaining, back to the first original statement, I don't think anything is OP right now, just because everything has counterplay, right? There's no build out there that they're just so broken that you have to play it or you lose. I will even say that this is the best corrupted dungeons meta that we have seen in a while, because the permanent reset builds are like really not much of a thing anymore. Like they're dying to healers. Either they're dying to healers or they're breaking crystals like twice as often as they used to, right? So like I don't think they're much of an issue anymore. Like even the really good players on these reset builds or these healer builds, like if you actually go watch them play, you'll see they're breaking crystals all the time, right? They have matchups that they just cannot win. Now, there is one more item that a lot of people are complaining about, and I kind of talked about this item a little bit earlier, and a lot of people think it's OP. I don't think it's OP, but it's royal boots. A lot of people are telling me that royal boots are OP. Like this guy, for example.
Yeah, these boots are absolutely ridiculous. Has there ever been a meta where a boots has been meta? Like, there was soldier boots, sure, but I don't think they were anywhere near the ridiculousness of this, right?
Now, do I think royal boots are strong? Of course, there's a reason why everybody's using royal boots right now. But they are conditionally strong, right? If you use royal boots as a tool for chasing, as a tool for like finishing off a fight, it's insanely powerful. But if you are using it as a escape tool, then it's really hard to use. Right now, you can pull it off. Yeah, like I said earlier, like with the mace guy, you can stun the enemy, then use it, or you can like track the enemy's cooldown and use it when they have nothing available to purge your boots or interrupt your boots with. Right? If you can make them purge something else, or if you can like bait them into stunning you at a different time, right? And they're not OP like the other boots that we just listed. Like remember when Graveguard boots was OP, when they had 80% movement speed on them and CC resist, right? Remember that? And then right after that, we had the Scholar Sandals that was 100% movement speed, unpurgeable, and gave you mana, right? And then we have the Avalonian Sandals that lasted for 4 seconds, now it lasts for 3, and they're still like some of the best kiting boots, right? And when they just got released, they lasted for 4 seconds, gave you slow and root immunity. Like, remember that? And then, of course, we have the 2 reset boosts, the demon boosts when they were 30-second cooldown, and the courier work boost, and of course the minor boots in there too. I didn't put that on the screen, but the minor boost is in there too, right? Remember those boosts that you can just press one button and zoom off of someone's map without ever like risking getting finished off, basically. Like compared to those boots, royal boots are like they're not OP. They're just not, right? Because of the pre-cast animation, like it can be interrupted. It's a whole 2.5 seconds of you just walking at a slow pace. It can be interrupted. It can be purged, right? So do that. Just do that, and they're not OP. Now, I know that's kind of a five-head thing to say, like, basically just saying, like, get good and stop crying, right? But, like, really though, like, get good and stop crying, right? Like, I'm gonna show you a clip here, like, this demonstrates what I'm talking about, like, you're gonna love this clip. It's got healers, it's got bra sword, it's got royal boots. So, right off the bat, you see the healer trying to channel his royal boots in the bra sword's face, and the bra sword just purged it, and no more boots, right? Now the sword gets to hit the healer for free for a while, until, here we go, boop, no more royal boots. Like, all that pressure that you just built up, like, you got the healer to burn his E and everything, and now it's just gone. Like, all that damage that you did was just for nothing because you wasted your boots. You used it in someone's face when he has a knockback to hit you with, to stop your channel with. And by the way, David, our sword player here, if you're watching this video, I'm gonna be making fun of you for a little bit here, because, you know, you had the kit to kill this healer, and you didn't do it because you misplayed so many times. And while I was watching this fight, by the way, this is a fight from my watch my viewers event, and my viewer is this disgrace of a healer. And the whole time that I was watching, I was just praying that you would win. I was actually rooting for you. But you just let me down, man. So I gotta make fun of you here. Now, as you're watching this clip, you probably see that the healer is on force field, and some of you might be wondering why. Because you probably are used to seeing healers with Mage Cow Poison on their helmet slot. Well, healers actually get ran over. Like, they would actually die with this build if they don't start on force field, because things like broadswords and spears can just chase them down and kill them, right? That's why they have to start force field and change it to poison if it's something that isn't so chasey. So in this matchup, the sword player actually has the crazy upper hand, right? He's facing someone that literally can only do damage with Zephyr Cape and Poison Potion. And he's running the right food, right? If you look on his food bar, you can see he's using lifesteal food. So he has the kit to kill this healer, but how does he still lose? Watch this purge. And then watch his poison potion. Like, first of all, why do you even have poison potion? We have already established that this healer has very little damage, so if you just run a healing potion like a normal person, there's no chance that you die, right? You just stick on the healer, he's not gonna pose any threat to you. Like, all of his damage will get cancelled by your lifesteal and your healing potion, and eventually if you just stick on him, he will eventually get 25 stacks and he's gonna die to you. He's already got healing sickness on him, right? If you just keep up your pressure, he will die. And then there's the Royal Boots cancel. Like, Royal Boots OP, right? Well, not when you use it like that. This is the third time now. Like, I showed it once at the very beginning, and then once I cut out because the fight's too long. But this is actually the third time that you got your Royal Boots cancelled. You should know by now that he's got Force Field, and that he's got Avalonian Robe, and you can't just use your boots in his face like that. So you're playing this all-in build that's got like all the chasing power it takes to kill a healer, but you keep making these mistakes and you just keep losing pressure. And watch this, he's gonna pre-stack right here, goes in, does some damage, and then he's gonna throw another poison, which again, it didn't do anything, right? Like, he's just gonna out heal it. So again, you should be on healing potion, not poison, but since you have poison, at least you should try to use it at the right time, right? Like, use it when you're on the guy. Use it when he doesn't have a knockback, so you can actually take advantage of the Arbor Shred. But you didn't do that, and then here comes another purge that didn't purge anything, and again your boots get cancelled. That's the second time you purge nothing, and the fourth time your boots get cancelled. Right, so at this point, you've got no cooldowns, you have no healing potion, and you're pretty much doomed. And now you're trying to run away and reset on this build that all in. Like you don't have escape. You're just walking away from this healer that's eventually gonna chase you down. And now I know you have like no choice now but to like try to get your boost off, and you actually did get lucky there and you got it off because the push from the healer came in just like a split second too late to cancel, right? But it's not like you're getting anywhere because like you both have the same boots, right? So you can't really outrun the healer with the same boots. And now we're just like walking away, accumulating method stacks when like really it's supposed to be the healer that's like running away and getting 25 stacks, but now you're the one running away and you're getting stacks. And like I get so many players like this, like you play a build that's supposed to counter another build, but then you make mistakes, you lose, and you complain about the other build being OP. You can't do that.